You're listening to Co-op Radio, streaming at koop.org. Radio for people, not for profit. Welcome to the Austin Public Library radio show, Volumes. I'm your host, Kanya Lyons.
And I'm Mike Wheat. Each week, we'll talk to librarians and other superheroes who make the Austin Public Library a hub of knowledge, technology, and inspiration for our community. Volumes. We bring the library to you every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Today, on the day before Thanksgiving, we are so happy to have Diana Miranda Murillo in the studio with us. And she's going to talk about a lot of different things, including voices around the world. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about the library. Mike was going to share some quotes with us.
Yeah, once again, we'd like to visit some of the testimonies left behind by some of our customers off of our website. One is, my library inspires me to be a part of my community, to share my skills with others, and in return, have the opportunity to learn from them. APL is a great asset to the city of Austin.
It's all about community, Mike.
Yep, and we appreciate you noticing. Next one is, my library inspires me to keep current on my Spanish language and to help others practice the language. Also, we can check out and watch really great movies. Those are both very true things.
Lots of people don't even know we have Spanish practice groups, that meet at the library on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I got one more I want to read. This is my first time here to use a computer for a letter. The entire staff is marvelous. I needed help most of the way through the computer process and emailing it. Everybody here was so delightful and happy. My experience will have me coming back to this location. Please thank them from me. Those are the greatest. I love those kind of testimonies. Even when I was at Windsor Park, I remember a particular lady I had helped for quite a while get into her Gmail daily, and she was always so thankful. And I never once showed her any kind of sign that it was repetitive, because I knew that she needed the help, and it was wonderful to just get her thanks every day.
Oh, yeah, and y'all are. Everyone is encouraged. People are welcome to share what they think about the library using the hashtag #MyLibraryIsLove. Again, that's hashtag #MyLibraryIsLove. And I wanted to tell you guys about a couple of special events that are coming up at the library. On Thursday, a week from Thanksgiving, Thursday, December 1st, there's a program called Not Alone. And this is really for parents and families of teens who are dealing with mental health and drug abuse issues. It's a really important thing. Not everybody, we know these teens need our help, but a lot of times people don't realize that the parents and the families of these teens also need support. And so this program is for those people, and it's from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the Hampton branch at Oak Hill. That's out by the Y, south. And that's Thursday, December 1st. Again, Hampton branch at Oak Hill. Details at 512-974-9900 or library.austintexas.gov. And then changing gears just a little, we have a ton of holiday parties and programs, crafting, all kinds of stuff. You name it, we have it for the whole month of December. And I just wanted to mention one program in particular, the Craft Crawl. It's going to be insane. There's going to be a live DJ, hors d'oeuvres, festive drinks, and it's a craft crawl because there's going to be all these different booths set up with different projects. Just show up and you get to make stuff. The library provides all the resources, all the stuff, all the materials that you need.
Yeah, you'll have gifts to give. Sounds like a proper party to me.
It's a pretty cool deal, and dance a little, enjoy the festive snacks. So that we have details about that at 512-974-7400 or library.austintexas.gov. And now we've got some librarians that are going to tell you about some other exciting events happening around the library system.
My name is Blair Parsons, and I am a reference librarian at the Faulk Central Library. Sunday, November 27th at 2 o'clock, the Faulk Central Library hosts Write Club, a community writing workshop to fuel creativity with writing prompts and exercises. A Badger Dog writing instructor will lead the writing workshop. Inspire and be inspired by others. Write Club meets at the Faulk Central Library from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock the last Sunday of each month. Monday, November 28th, the St. John Branch Library hosts Yoga is Medicine. The class will be led by Pure Action Yoga is Medicine and is part of the library's broader offering of health programming titled My Library Keeps Me Healthy. The yoga class is from 6:30 to 7:30 Monday evening, November 28th at the St. John Branch Library.
This is Kathleen Houlihan, the teen librarian at the Faulk Central Library downtown, bringing you all the teen and tween events happening across the Austin Public Library system for the upcoming week. On Tuesday, November 29th, teens can visit the Willie Mae Kirk branch for a Chibi-tastic drawing workshop at 6:30 p.m. And on Wednesday, November 30th, the University Hills branch will have free play gaming at 4 p.m. The library also has these special programs coming up in December. Teens who participated in the National Novel Writing Month will have an opportunity to read from their manuscript and hear from authors about the messy process of revision. That's at 5:30 p.m. on December 1st at the Faulk Central Library. The Hampton branch at Oak Hill is having a special support and resource sharing program for parents and families of teens with mental health and drug abuse issues at 6:30 p.m. on December 1st. And teens can join in the Fantastic Beasts fun with a Harry Potter party at the Howson branch on December 3rd at 2 p.m. More library programs and details are at library.austintexas.gov/events.
This is Ann Minner, Youth Services Manager, to tell you about next week's public library events for children. On Saturday, November 26th, Bonnie, the Bow Wow Reading Dog, will be at the Yarborough branch from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Bonnie is the canine half of a certified Austin Dog Alliance volunteer team. These therapy dogs and their humans are trained extensively and visit the Austin Public Libraries to encourage reading with kids of all ages. Details about additional Bow Wow Reading Dog visits are at library.austintexas.gov.
The Texas Talking Book Program provides digital audio, large print, and braille books and magazines to Texans who cannot read standard print due to qualifying visual, physical, or reading disabilities. Reader advisors are on hand to help navigate patrons through thousands of titles available for download to our free digital audio player. To see if you qualify or for more information, visit www.texastalkingbooks.org.
Co-op Radio features roots programming every morning of the week. This is Rod Moog inviting you to join me for the country, swing, and rockabilly jamboree Thursday mornings from 9 to 11. Our country is classic, our swing is western, and the rockabilly is the early kind from the mid-1950s. Thursday mornings 9 to 11. Look for you there.
Did you guys know that 3% of the books published around the world, only 3%, are translated into English? So think about all the different languages that are spoken in all the countries all over the world.
It's a lot of missing perspectives.
Absolutely. Good point, Mike. So today in the studio, we have Diana Miranda Murillo, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about that and what she's doing about it, which is a display called Voices Around the World, and she also orders books from around the world, and she's going to tell us all about that. Bienvenida, Diana. Gracias por estar aquí en el estudio con nosotros.
Gracias por invitarme.
What Kanye said.
So tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I am a librarian. I got my degrees in Costa Rica because that's the place I'm from. Wow. And then I came to the U.S. and I went to UT and got more. I got into the master's degree program here too. And then after I finished that, I started working for the Austin Public Library. So I've been with the library for 11 years.
Wow. So what inspired you to become a librarian? Like, what was the spark?
Well, it was my librarian, the librarian at my high school. She's the one that I thought that she was doing an excellent job there, and I thought, oh, so how do you go, how do you learn this? So she explained to me that you had to go to college to learn that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And I thought that it was fascinating, everything that had to do with the classification and everything. So it was wonderful. So she is the one that inspired me. Also, me going to the library when I was a child, I also thought that was a place that was magical. So I wanted to be in a place like that. So I've been doing this for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So did you come from a big city that had
I'm from San Jose, the capital of Costa Rica, and we have, of course, public libraries, but we also have children's libraries from the city, the municipality, and we have those that are specially for kids, and then so those are like in different neighborhoods, so it's pretty cool to go to those, and they have programming for kids and lots of great resources there for us when we were kids.
I didn't even know that existed. That's so cool.
Yes. And so, of course, then when you grow up and you kind of feel like an orphan in a way, because you can be there, you can go to those libraries until you're 12. And then after that, you're like, well, where do I go? It's kind of, because it's not the same. You can go to a public library, but it's not the same feeling. And then, of course, you have all the academic special libraries, that they're part of the universities or special research centers and things like that. So it's a small city in comparison with all the other ones that we see here in the States that are considered big cities, but it feels like a big city. It's a busy city, terrible, like rush hour. You don't want to be there for between 4 and 6 in the afternoon. Everybody's running to catch the bus and like the same, or taxis. Everything is just a really terrible thing. And if we have rain most of the year, so it's about like 90% of the year that we have some rain. So when it rains and it's rush hour, just put those two together.
Rainy cities make for lots of readers, I think. All the cities with lots of rain, people tend to go.
Well, that's a good point. I haven't thought about that. But yeah, so that's it's a very interesting city. If you have the opportunity to go, it's an interesting place to visit.
Great. So when you first experienced your first, I guess, library in America, was your mind full of comparisons? What did you think as far as what really stood out here differently?
The thing that is, I guess, different is, I think, not the library in itself, because it's the same services that I knew and I was providing. It was more like the people, more like the community, that the community feels the library is theirs. And that was the thing that still blows my mind, that the community comes to us and asks us, so where's the book? Where is why does you don't have programs for X area or X part of the community? Or that's something I really, really love. And to feel like the library has trickled down into the roots of the community, and the community feels like, oh, it's one of my things, the things that I owe and that I love.
That engagement's organic. And
exactly. That's something that is fascinating to me.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, the library really is a resource for all the different members of our community. And it's nice that
it is. It's just, that's the part that was different.
I'm glad that stood out.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, it was, and that has to do also with a lot of programming, a lot of work that the community puts, together constantly, because we have so many resources and people don't know that we have those resources. So that's, I think, basically the core of this. That when the community knows what the library does, or part of what the library does, they love it so much.
That's what we're hoping.
That's
why
what we're trying
here.
to do. Yeah.
Yes.
So when you've got with the library at Austin Public Library, certainly you probably weren't immediately in cataloging and procuring materials. What were you doing?
No, I was a reference librarian. I started in reference, which is fascinating to me. I mean, every aspect of librarianship that's my field, and I love every part of it. So reference is amazing because we are, I feel like in reference, we are those intermediators, like trying to help people find the best information, Right now, people think that they can Google everything, which is true. You can Google whatever you want, but what is the quality of that information?
Exactly. Careful what you put down on your paper, kids.
Exactly. And something that people say, oh, I can find anything that I want, or everything is on Google. And it's not true, as we know. And that's why we have all these other resources that are curated, that are, reviewed by professionals that are out there. And that's what the main purpose of reference is, I think. Connect people with the information they need and with the information that has the best quality. And so that's what I was doing for 5 years. And then I was also helping with the selection of materials in Spanish and world languages as well for the whole library system at the same time that I was a reference librarian. So at some point I said, well, I think I'm going to change and I'm going to just become a selector. That's the title of the specialty in the field. And I decided to go into the acquisitions and selection of materials.
You saw a need.
Yes.
We saw that there was only 3% of materials out there in the world, and maybe we didn't have enough of them.
Yes, and that when I started doing when I noticed this, it was 11 years ago. And basically, almost at the same time I started working for the library, I was doing some research and I noticed that. And I thought, this is kind of sad that only 3% of the books that are published around the world get translated to English. So I started this display 11 years ago, every November. From November the 1st to the 31st, we have the display on the first floor of the library. And I have a big list of items and authors that I share with everybody on that display every year for 11 years.
Let me just interject and say, when she says at the library, she means the Faulk
Faulk
Central Library,
Yes,
which
yes,
is at
ma'am.
8th and Guadalupe downtown.
Yes, thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. And the display is really quite beautiful. It's called Voices Around the World,
Yeah.
and it's right in the entryway of the Central Library. So if you walk in those front doors, you can't miss it. And there's so many amazing
Yes.
books. I can't wait to check out some of those titles.
That's great.
Right.
That's
Saying
great.
that it's a beautiful display goes beyond just what you see. The information she selected to put on display is worth the read.
Oh, well, I'm glad you guys like it too. And I hope, we get some people visiting when they have the time. And for 11 years, I've been curating my list and selecting the best of the authors and the titles. And something interesting that happens when we are reading a translated work is that we are being exposed to two different forms of art, I will say it that way. Mm-hmm. The first one is the writer, and with all his creativity and ideas and all the information and anything that the writer wants to share with us. But also we are exposed to the other artist, which is the translator. Mm-hmm. And that one is the one that is the one that is going to keep that beauty or not.
Right.
And then it's very interesting, especially right now that we have so many resources that we can go and read about a particular translation. People say what people are thinking about a book in general. There are so many books that are beautiful in the original language, and you hear people saying, the translator didn't do a good job, mm-hmm. and this book needs a different translator. So that's something that is something to keep in mind when we're checking out these books, when we're reading books that are in translation. We're appreciating two different forms of art.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that in this technological time we're in right now, there definitely seems to be a move to make that gap smaller with, software out there where we get to rate translations, etc. So hopefully we'll be bridging that gap completely.
Yes,
in the near future.
With technology, people think that sometimes translation is something that we can just do online or with a machine. And I keep saying, no, that's an art. It's really hard to translate emotions with a machine.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. We're actually getting close to the end. We only have a couple minutes. So I was hoping, would you like to share a few of the titles you've selected for this year?
Sure. these books, I wanted to select a little bit from different parts of the world. So some suggestions I had were, the first one is The Musical Brain by Cesar Aira. He's from Argentina. He's one of the best writers right now, the hot writers right now. And something that I got is people telling me, oh, that book is like mind-blowing. It's amazing. So people that read it in English, so that's a good thing.
Nice.
Then, of course, we have Elena Ferrante. It's a pen name. Nobody knows who the author is. We don't know if it's a man or a woman, but the name of the author is Elena Ferrante. She's from Italy, and she has like 4 books. It's a series, and the last one is A Story of the Lost Child. But this is the last book of the 4. So you guys want to check out maybe when you have the opportunity or explore those books by Elena Ferrante. Then we have a book that is called Invisible Planets, and it is a compilation of Chinese science fiction. And I thought that's pretty cool.
Wow.
And the last one, well, not the last one, but African Equation, Jasmina Kandra. It's another pen name, an author from Algeria. And he's a man, but his pen name is Jasmina Kandra, which is, I love those things. And for those that love mysteries, of course, John Nesbo from Norway. It's an amazing writer. He does amazing mysteries, and so that's another one to give an opportunity. And last thing is, like, if you want resources on information on the best translated fiction, there's a website, it's called 3%. By the International Literature of the University of Rochester, which is an amazing resource for those that love to read translated fiction.
Excellent.
Wow, 3%. Such a small number.
That's pretty much, that tells us exactly what the number is.
Come on, people, let's give them a demand to feed.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so in addition to this, I just wanted to also mention you wear so many hats and you're so good at so many different things. You are also the manager of the Spanish language Facebook and Twitter accounts for the Austin Public Library. And you've been really instrumental in improving the library's Spanish webpage and a lot of our services for Spanish speakers at the library. So in case people out there listening didn't know, the library has social media in Spanish. We have a whole webpage in Spanish, all kinds of amazing interfaces, resources that are in Spanish, have been, some of which have been translated, others that are in, Spanish is the original language. And all that stuff is available on the library's website at library.austintexas.org/ES Español.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes. And this is because I also I'm the person that purchases fiction in English for the whole city, but I'm also the person that purchases materials in Spanish and all the other languages that are not English that we carry, for example, Chinese, Italian, French, and many others. So I do all that too, which I love. And then, about 35 of the population in Austin is Spanish speakers. So I think the library, it's instrumental for this part of the community. And we have to make a big effort to offer materials in Spanish for them and help them with the process of learning English, but also not, help them not forget that the richness of the language, because that's one of the main reasons that we do this.
Absolutely. Some things just don't translate. But I guess we're out of time for this interview. It's been such a pleasure to have you here. Mike?
Yeah, if you recall from last week's show, when we delved into what reference librarians do, the staff at Faulk Central can answer many questions, including questions about Voices Around the World display at the phone number 512-974-7400. Deanna, thank you so much again for curating this display for 11 years and really putting a focus on something that needs focusing.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
We need to know what the rest of the world thinks.
You're listening to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show.
On Co-op 91.7 FM, Hornsby, Austin, radio for people, not for profit.
The ticking you hear marks the passing of time, which is marching toward December 17th, the day on which Co-op Radio will have its annual birthday party, and this year it promises to be a real blast. That's right. On Saturday, December 17th at the Spider House Ballroom, it is the Co-op Blowout with 3 legends of Austin music. I am talking about the growling blues rock of Omar and the Howlers, the classic reggae sound of Pressure, and just about everything else you can imagine provided by the one, the only Joe King Carrasco. Low Side FX. Get your tickets at spiderhouse.com or on a link from koop.org. Co-op Blowout. More information forthcoming.
Next up, we're going to play an excerpt from one of the library's podcasts, Austin Creates. This episode features Austin's soul singer, Tamika Jones, in an interview with APL reference librarian Aaron Negron. Let's roll that clip.
How do you know when you've hit on a sound or a song that
right.
You're like, this is it? Okay, yeah, this is.
When I'll know when I hit on something good when I can remember it the next day, and when I put it away and I can remember it, I'm like, yes, there's no denying it. I know that moment when something is good and I can live with it. Because I wrote that song, I wrote a song like Hot and Bothered, it took me like 30 minutes to write it. And I that's one of the songs that I haven't really messed with because it was just so good. And I felt it immediately as it came out. Most songs aren't like that. And I've had to labor over them like endlessly and dissect them and put them back together. But that's all because another thing about music is I haven't really studied how to be a songwriter yet. You know, I think it's all like ordained by the gods and like inspiration will strike me when it's really like a
it's
a craft.
It's craft. Gotcha.
It's a craft. Like you have to sit there and do exercises on it, like rhyme schemes and like internal rhymes and external rhymes and you know, it's a craft that you have to perfect and you have to work on every day. You have to write every day. I'm thinking, inspiration will strike me when it strikes me. The muse will come when I hear this bass, and I'm like, but that's not really how it works. So
again, that was Tamika Jones with APL's Aaron Negron. Thanks again, Tamika. The full interview with Tamika can be found at library.austintexas.gov/volumes.
Yeah, and thanks again to Deanna for joining us today. Next week, we'll talk to youth librarian Kathleen Houlihan about the literacy toolkit, Play, Read, Grow. Additional information about this and all things library at library.austintexas.gov.
Be safe. Be good to each other out there.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show. Details at library.austintexas.gov/volumes.
Want to give a special thanks to our audio engineer, DJ Harris, and our volunteer production assistant, Sev Corson.
And thanks to the musicians who composed and performed our original theme song. Andrew Noble on violin, Kirk Duvall on guitar, and APL's very own Mike Wheat on percussion.
Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show, airs Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on koop.org Community Radio.